the Minority Leader, Senator Franklin Drillon, and to interpolate Senator Pampilo Ping Lacson.
Senator Drillon, Senator Lacson are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will no longer interpolate. I will just make a manifestation seeking clarification and assurance from the distinguished sponsor, who probably more than anyone else in this hall has extensive knowledge as well as legislative experience. No? And I can say that with conviction, as a matter of fact.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
The assurance that I'm asking from the distinguished sponsor is that there will be no distortion in the imposition of fines on offenses that are similar in nature, more so with the same effect and damage to the individuals concerned, whether offender or offended. No? Having said that, let me just mention, say, a violation of the Revised Penal Code, malversation, paragraph 1 of Article 217 of the Revised Penal Code. Amount involved in the misappropriation or malversation does not exceed 200 pesos. So ang penalty rito, prison correctional in its medium and maximum periods, 2 years, 4 months, and 1 day to 6 years. Currently, yung amount involved, 200 pesos, ngayon magiging 20,000. Is that correct?
The formula is the present amount stated in the present law is divided by 2 pesos and 50 centavos.
Anyway, we already
and
computed.
Multiply that by 500, and that will be the formula. That is the formula applied, okay, Mr. President.
Anyway,
yes.
Juxtapose that with Section 3 of RA 3019, or Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. The crimes punishable, among others, are influencing another public official, requesting or receiving gift, accepting or having member of family accept employment from private enterprise with pending official business, causing, etc., etc. 6 years and 1 month to 15 years. Wala pong amount involved. So, 20,000, yung dating 200, compare it now sa kaso ng malversation, special law. No? Walang amount involved. So, somehow, di ba merong inequality or distortion do sa amount of fines na inimpose on both offenses na ang gravity at saka yung nature medyo similar. So I'd like to, this is not an interpellation, distinguished sponsor, I just would like to have an assurance that cases like this or crimes or offenses like this will be treated similarly in terms of fines that will be imposed.
Firstly, for the record, Mr. President, we did not touch special laws, only the Revised Penal Code. But the concept being proposed by the good senator is not is acceptable, and we will make sure that that concept will find its way into whatever revisions that we will make. Maybe we can make a special adjustment, but conceptually, similar crimes should have approximately similar penalties.
Another case in point, treason against acts or violation of RA 9165, Dangerous Drugs Act. Ano? Sa treason, of course, penalty of imprisonment, reclusion perpetua to death. Ano? Kung meron death penalty. Yung current fine dito, 100,000. By virtue of RA 7659, yung Death Penalty Act. Ano? Originally, 20,000 ito noong 1993. Under the proposal, it is now 4 million pesos. Now, let's go to violations of the Dangerous Drugs Act. Reclusion perpetua to death, pareho rin, assuming na merong death penalty. Ang fine involved dito, from 500,000 pesos to 10 million. Ang destructive effect, o yung gravity ng offense, no? Treason against Dangerous Drugs Act, mukhang pareho rin. So, 4 million against 10 million, medyo may distortion. So again, ito, ano lang to, mga kasong minimension lang ito, just to highlight or emphasize the point na at the proper time, baka naman ma-welcome nyo yung mga amendments that I will introduce.
Mr. President, as I said, conceptually, we have absolutely no problem. But this is but we have limited the amendments to the revised penal code. Just to show our sincerity and good faith in accommodating the very correct concept of of Senator Lacson. As we review the penalties, we are willing to file, together with Senator Lacson, if necessary, a corresponding bill which will address the special laws that you are.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished sponsor. As a matter of fact, that's the point I'm trying to drive at, ano, na parang corollarily, pag nag-adjust tayo ng penalties, baka pwedeng isama na natin yung... I remember si Senator De Lima, no, meron siyang Code of Crimes bill. Medyo naiwan, nakulong pa nga. So baka mahirap natin maipasa, baka maiwan. Another point.
Just to that point, sir.
Yes.
Yes, if feasible, we will introduce it as amendments. If feasible. But if not technically feasible,
baka maging rider.
Baka maging rider or marami pang ibang batas na dapat baguhin, then we will draft with the assistance and guidance of Senator Lacson a new bill which will address all of these concerns so that we can make it make the penalty correspond
rational
to the acts committed.
Last na lang po, last
Yes,
point
sir.
before I end my manifestation, which parang hybrid na rin ng interpellation. Yung impossible crime, no? Ito walang masyadong damage. Say a person shoots a dead person, not knowing that he's already dead. Meron ding fine na 200 to 500 pesos. So under the proposal, magiging 40,000 to 100,000. Now, compare that to a crime of slight physical injury. May nasaktan. Ang wala ngang no alternative penalty of fine. Pero nasaktan yung tao, ito naman patay, hindi na masasaktan. So ito yung mga points that I would like to raise para ma-rationalize lamang at saka mawalan ng distortion do sa mga pinopropose na mga fines on certain offenses. At any rate, I'd like to thank the distinguished sponsor for accommodating our suggestion, our proposal, and at the proper time, maybe we can work together to introduce the corresponding individual amendments. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, distinguished sponsor.
We assure Senator Lacson that we can work with him, and we will work with him in order to come up with a more equitable version of this bill, which is nothing more but upgrading the penalty, or upgrading the values of the money from 1930 to today, so that the penalties will not be considered as cruel, which will raise constitutional issues. So we thank the good sponsor, the good senator from Cavite, for the inputs that he has done, and we will, when we take a second look for process of committee amendments, we will be in close consultation with Senator Lacson.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
there being no other member who has made reservations to interpolate, I move to close the period of interpolation on Senate Bill 14 under Committee Report number 13.
Any objection? Hearing none, period is closed.
I move to open the period of committee amendments, Mr. President.
May we request that we be allowed to submit the committee amendments at subsequent sessions, given the proposed amendments and the manifestations of Senator Lacson, which we'll have to input into the amendments that we will put in.
I withdraw my motion, Mr. President. I withdraw my motion.
Motion is deemed withdrawn.
And give notice to the members of the Senate that The committee amendments will be prepared by the minority leader, and those who have individual amendments, may we ask that they prepare their individual amendments as soon as the committee amendments are brought forward. Just for the record, Mr. President. So with that, I move to suspend consideration of Senate Bill 14 under Committee Report Number 30.
Before we close, before we suspend, place of record, Mr. President, that Senator De Lima has manifested that she is a co-sponsor to this measure, and we accept the co-sponsor. Co-author.
Co-authorship. So any objection to the motion to suspend? There being none, motion is approved.